Just used my girlfriend's makeup to put it over a pimple that I had. And I think it looks quite obvious because we definitely have different skin tones. Oh well, is what it is. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope everybody's having an amazing day today. Little different type of video today. More of just a sit down, a kind of a talk one. Welcome to my TED Talk. Kind of like a story time slash explanation slash whatever, bloody blah blah. Anyway, today we're going to talk about sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is something that I have experienced probably the last 8 years. And yeah, just thought I'd talk about it. Give people who don't know what it's like a little bit of information of what it is like, and then also give some tips to the people that do experience it as well for how to prevent it. Also, side note, we are pushing for 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you enjoy this video, yeah, drop a like and a subscribe. I always say, if you hate it, then drop a dislike and tell me you hate me in the comments. Anyway, so I thought I'd go through what sleep paralysis is, my experience with it, and then tips on how to prevent it. So yeah, first up, what is sleep paralysis? I thought I'd get a Google definition before I say what it's like for me. Google defines it as sleep paralysis is a brief loss of muscle control just after falling asleep or before waking up. Sleep paralysis frequently involves hallucinations or a feeling of suffocation. No one knows exactly what causes sleep paralysis, but it is linked to sleep disorders and certain mental health conditions. I did not know that. Wow, okay, I didn't realize there's linked to certain mental health conditions. Maybe I should go get checked. I mean, I don't think I have any, but maybe I do. Who knows? So basically the way I'd put it is it feels like you've woken up, but you just can't move any muscle in your body. So it can be pretty scary at sometimes. I know some people do experience hallucinations where they can see things like ghosts or spirits or demons. I've had 2 experiences that I'll talk about that were pretty freaky, but otherwise I tend to not get those hallucinations. And I think I know why, and I think I know how to prevent it, but I'll talk about that later. So that's how sleep paralysis is defined. Now I'll just talk a little bit about my experience with it. So as I mentioned, I've had sleep paralysis, or I've experienced sleep paralysis probably about the past 8 years. I don't get it every night. Sometimes I can get it 5 or 6 times in a night. It definitely varies. It can definitely be pretty scary sometimes, but most of the time it's all right. I think the biggest thing about it and the serious thing about it for me, as I said, I don't get those hallucinations, but it's just the fact that it feels really hard to breathe when you wake up in that paralysis-like state. It can be very uncomfortable. So as I mentioned, I've got 2 stories that I want to talk about that were pretty scary to me that involve sleep paralysis. So the first one is basically what I know a lot of other people have experienced. It's pretty creepy. But basically, went to bed one night and woke up in sleep paralysis, but this time was a little bit different. So usually when I wake up, it's kind of just, I can see the room. You're definitely in a dream, but it does feel like you're awake. You can see the room around you, or it feels like you can, probably from memory, and you just can't move. But this time was a little bit different because I did see something. I saw a little girl, like a little ghost kind of spirit, sitting on my chest. This is something that people do experience, or from what I can tell. Even if you just look up sleep paralysis on Google Images, you get something like the photo that I'm showing on screen where it's somebody sitting on your chest. I didn't get a little demon like this, but I definitely got a little girl spirit, I would say, sitting on my chest, and it just made it extremely hard to breathe. I like to say that I don't believe in ghosts and spirits, but I think the freaky thing about this is that a lot of people have had a similar experience. So I mean, I say I don't believe it, but then I also get terrified when stuff like that happens. So this one was freaky. I think the fact, this is a perfect, actually, I've just seen an image here. This is a perfect kind of image of it. So it was like this. I can't remember if it was a shadow or if I could actually see like a little girl with black hair wearing a white dress. That's kind of the memory I have of it, but it could have morphed over time to make it seem a bit more scary. But that's what I felt. And you're kind of just staring exactly in this photo. You're just staring this like you can't do anything, and it makes it extremely hard to breathe. So yeah, I saw this little girl, very hard to breathe. And I think the shock of seeing that kind of made me wake up, luckily enough. But I definitely experienced it for a little bit, and that was terrifying. So that's the first one. I mean, I definitely don't get it as bad as some other people. I know some other people can see a lot more scary things, but that was the first one. I mean, it's a dream technically, and there's no real climax to these stories. It's just what I experienced. So yeah, someone sitting on your chest is pretty terrifying to wake up to. The second one, which is really, this one was probably the more terrifying to me, just because, I don't know, you'll hear it. You let me know if you think it's scary or not. But basically I woke up in a position where my head was hanging over the side of the bed, and I was kind of staring at the floor or the wall. It's actually probably worth noting that I think when I wake up, or I wake up in this sleep paralysis, I'm probably not in the same position that I'm actually asleep in, if you know what I mean. It's more, I don't know, sometimes I am, sometimes I'm in the I literally wake up in the position that I'm in. Sometimes I wake up in a position that's a lot more uncomfortable and it's a lot more hard to breathe. So anyway, sorry, I'm rambling here. So I woke up, my head was hanging over the side of the bed, as I mentioned. Couldn't move my body because I had that loss of muscle control. And suddenly, right, I feel my hand just start sliding across the bed. Now, bear in mind, I'm not controlling this whatsoever. And I feel it sliding across, and then suddenly it just starts going up. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Think about this, right? You're stuck and you just feel your hand moving with no control of it by yourself. And anyway, starts going up, and then I just feel that somebody, don't know what it was, high five me. High five's not a way to, like, high five sounds a bit more like comedic, I guess, but you don't know what's, you know, it's 4 in the morning or whatever, and someone smacks your hand, it's terrifying. But the scary thing was, as soon as somebody high-fived me, the whole room changed into the best way, I think the best way to describe it is like the Upside Down from Stranger Things. The whole room just kind of went dark, it was rotting. I was in this kind of like parallel universe, I guess, of the same place, but it was just, there were definitely like demons inside of it. But I was stuck in that position. I couldn't really do anything. I think the scariest thing for me wasn't the fact the room changed. It was just that something definitely high-fives me or smacked my hand, and that shit was so scary. I think the shock of that made me wake up. It's definitely hard to get back to sleep after something like that, but yeah, that was probably the scariest experience that I've had. Again, I know some people have had it worse, but the next thing I want to talk about is how I prevent it, or how I try to stop sleep paralysis as much as I can. So the first one, and I think this is the biggest one, is the position you sleep in. I definitely get it the most when I sleep on my back. So I would say don't sleep on your back, which is annoying because that is, for me, the most comfortable position. I sit on my back and then have like the pillow kind of on an angle, but I definitely don't do that anymore. Instead, I sleep on my side. Now, it's not 100% guarantee that you're not going to get it, but it has helped me a lot to not get it. Tip number, I guess, 1.5, I'd say, if you do end up getting sleep paralysis and wake up, change your position. So if you're sleeping on your side, flip over, sleep on the other side. That tends to help. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes I've done it and I can get it, as I said, 5 or 6 times in one night, which is just awful. Tip number 2, I would say don't drink caffeine. I usually go after 12, so midday. This is all just from, you know, my experience. There's no scientific thing proven behind this, but for me, I think that helps, as my mind, it's hard to go to sleep sometimes when you've had caffeine, and then, I don't know, it could keep your mind awake. Yeah, which is why I don't have caffeine after 12, or I try not to. Sometimes I do. Sometimes a little cheeky and I do. The third tip, which I've heard can help, but there's a reason why I don't do this one, and I'll explain why, is if you do wake up in that trance like state, focus on moving your toes, just focusing on being able to wiggle your toes, and then slowly come up the body, wiggling stuff. So start with your toes, move to your feet, your legs, your fingers, then your arms. The reason why I don't do this is because, and it kind of goes on to tip 4 as well, is because I know if I focus at the end of my bed, if I focus on my feet at the end of my bed, that's when I'm going to start seeing things, you know? As you can see here, that's like something at the end of the bed. I haven't experienced it, but I know if I do think about things near the end of my bed, like my feet, I will start seeing demons. That's why I don't do that. But apparently if you do that, you can start lucid dreaming, which is like when you have control of your dreams. So it's definitely something I should try, because lucid dreaming would be so cool. Probably the 4th and final tip is, as much as you can, try not to think about it when you've woken up in that state. It sounds stupid to say, because it's like, don't think about demons and ghosts and spirits and stuff. If you try not to think about it, you're technically thinking about it. But I don't think about it like that. I just go, I need to focus on waking up right now. My number one focus is waking up. And I'm trying to wriggle, and the way I do it is, if I'm in a position like this, I'll try switch over to the other side. I've also told my girlfriend that if I'm sleeping on my back, even if I'm, you know, she has no idea if I'm in sleep paralysis or not, but just wake me up, because I'd way rather be woken up mid-sleep than experience sleep paralysis. Yeah, and she said that sometimes I've actually jittered while I've been on my back. To me, that's me trying to wake up in the dream, but it's probably not. Those are the tips I have for sleep paralysis if you don't want to see those demons, or if you want to try to wake up or not experience it at all. Yeah, that's sleep paralysis. It's really not fun, and I'm sure there are definitely other tips out there that is worth looking out for or looking up, but those are just the ones that I have for you and that work for me. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this can help some people, for anyone who does experience it. Yeah, a little story time with me, I guess, for this video. Again, we're pushing for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so please make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and make sure you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out. Woo!